tonight. Y'all see my help wanted signs up here?
Amen.
Amen. Amen. My sermon or my message title tonight is Help Wanted.
Amen.
You know, it amazes me over the last several months. I've had many people tell me that, I'm looking for a job. I just can't find a job. That blows me away. Because virtually every restaurant I visit has a help wanted sign.
That's right. Amen.
But unfortunately, it is not the job that many desire.
Amen.
Many are looking for entry-level CEOs.
That's right.
When my wife had first got on at Chrysler, she was telling me about different groups would come in. And one group stuck out in my mind. There was a group of people that come in. I believe there was approximately 20 people that came in for a tour through the plant. And by the time the end of the tour was over, 11 had said, "Ain't no way I'm working here." 11 had walked away. When they began to calculate the benefits, they thought that was pretty good. But when they considered the work that was going to result, the benefits was not well enough. And my point is this: as we labor for the kingdom of heaven, I gotta, before I get ahead of myself, how many seen our wonderful farmers out there harvesting their fields? See, everybody wants to be a farmer this time of year. Everybody likes driving the combines because that's where the money is. But there's not too many volunteers this spring to go out and do the hard work in planting, preparing, working the ground, spraying, doing all that's necessary. Many want the harvest without the labor of planting.
Yes, they do. That's right.
And I will tell you this: I have no lack of men or women wanting to take my job.
Till they started.
There are a lot of people who want to be preachers. My dad faced one man that he came to my dad and he said, "I'll tell you what, Brother Purvis, if you let me have in charge of one service, I promise you, the next service I'll have 25 visitors I personally can bring to the church if you'll just give me one night to be in charge." My dad said, as Peter said, it's not for sale.
Right.
It's not for sale.
Amen.
Simon said, "I'll give you money if you'll let me do this."
No.
It's not for sale, folks.
No.
That's right.
God's hiring, but He's not willing to compromise to have workers just show up.
Right.
I want you to go with me, if you will, amen, to Luke chapter 1. Excuse me, chapter 10, verse 1. I'm sorry. Brother Randy said, "Man, you didn't give me that verse." Luke chapter 10 and verse 1. After these things, the Lord appointed other 70 also, and sent them 2 by 2 before His face into every city and place whither He Himself would come. You may be seated. Now, I don't read of any complacency. I don't read of any murmuring and griping. Amen. These 70, as they went out 2 by 2, their sole task was preparing each city to be ready for when the Lord showed up.
Amen.
Amen? That was their sole task. They were not sent to baptize. They were not sent to preach the words of repentance. They were not there to have altar calls. But they were one purpose and one purpose only. And it reminds me of the circus in the 20s and 30s. If you will study at the time, they would have riders that would go out with 1 or 2 acts. They would go ahead of the normal circus and they would go into the upcoming towns. They would put out posters. They would print out flyers. They would hang banners. And they would have mock little circuses you, this is what's coming. Get excited.
Amen.
They weren't the main act. They didn't have the big talk, but they were an introduction. They had a responsibility. They weren't going to have the bright lights on them, but they were going ahead of time to prepare the city to be ready.
That's right.
These 70, their sole purpose was not to add to the church, but to prepare the way for the Lord.
Amen.
I wonder how menial, how trivial that seemed to be. Think about it a minute. They weren't going to see the glorious altar calls. They weren't going for to create these miracles and accomplish great healings. All they were going to do is go around the city and begin to say, Jesus is coming.
That's right.
Let me tell you a little bit about what's getting ready to happen to your town. That was their sole purpose. It wasn't to build a church. It was just to tell of the one that was coming. See, so often in the church, we want the roles of great glamour. I was talking to my son-in-law yesterday at lunch, and he is a very high-ranking official in the United States government. And he was telling me that he's been going to classes on how to, for lack of a better word, deal with millennials in the workplace. And he was telling me how that even in the government now because this younger generation, they want to feel like they are somebody.
Yeah.
And they are creating now titles to make these people feel important. How many's ever heard of it's a trash collector, but a sanitation engineer.
Still garbage.
Man, I'm an engineer. Well, what do you do? I build trash cans. But I'm an engineer. It sounds important until you look at the task. And often we want, well, Pastor, what will it give me in authority and position and power? What would it represent? Do I get my own name on a business card? Now follow me a minute. See, in the kingdom of heaven, I've always thought it, been taught it by my daddy, that this thing is not about me, it's not about this congregation, but somewhere it's about him.
Amen. Amen.
And I think somewhere we have lost the focus of the purpose of our efforts.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
In business, it's not about you, it's about the company. Know this, where anybody here that works for anybody or works anywhere, if that company doesn't make money, you ain't going to have a job.
That's right. That's true.
You can sit there, well, I need more money, I need more money. Well, let me tell you, if you don't want to work and you want to get paid, the business is going out and you're going to be unemployed.
That's right.
Or you're going to be replaced by somebody that wants to work.
That's right. Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people I've interviewed. And usually when it comes to, hey, I'm looking for help, it is, well, what am I going to have to do? Quite frankly, when I first got married and looked at my first job, I said, are you hiring? And they would say, yeah, when can I start?
That's right.
It wasn't, what am I going to have to do to earn this money?
Yeah.
Can I start up and assist the superintendent? It was, thank you for giving me a job.
That's right.
Oh, it's cleaning up?
Yeah.
Where's my room?
That's right. It's a job. Amen.
You're right.
See, there are a lot of good, honest jobs out there.
Yes, there is.
But a lot of people, it really, please, I try not to be political from this pulpit. Sometimes I know it seems that I am. But I tell you what, if something says about America when we say that there are jobs that are below our dignity. My friends, I have picked tomatoes. I have cleaned toilets. I have went to the lobby of restaurants and cleaned up where folks have got sick.
Yes,
That's right. Amen.
yeah.
was telling someone, I think it was one of my grandkids, they was talking about hard work. I said, baby, I got calluses older than you are.
I hear you.
So don't tell me about hard work. I've got calluses that probably double your age.
Amen.
Papa knows what it means to get down and do menial work.
That's right. Amen.
Amen.
And it amazes me, though, how fast folks want to get beyond that. We don't have no problem with folks, rejoicing with somebody when they get the Holy Ghost. But it is sometimes a struggle to get folks to come and help them pray through.
You do. Amen.
Man, you draw a crowd when everybody's shouting that they receive the gift of the Holy Ghost, but to get them there, it's a different story.
That's right.
I will tell you what, it's easy to have folks show up for a Sunday afternoon ice cream social, challenging to get folks to show up to deep, contrite prayer.
That's right.
You can get quiet if you want. There are things that we enjoy that seem a little more pleasant. Let me tell you, there's nothing more effective than a prayer life in the church. There's nothing more necessary. Amen. We can let the janitors go. Amen. We can get rid of the sound booth. We can dismiss the music. But let me tell you, friends, the church can never survive without prayer warriors. I'm not talking about just people praying. I'm talking about prayer warriors.
Amen. That's right.
You can give me military armor, but there's nothing that will replace the grunt on the ground.
Yeah. That's right. Amen. Amen.
Well, Pastor, we got this thing to bring folks in. We've got this drawing card to bring folks in. I've heard everybody saying, if we can have a block party, we can win some folks. We spent about $3,000, and we had a lot of people dedicate time, and we had 2 people come for about a year, and that was it.
Amen.
All we were led with is a lot of debt, a lot of cleanup.
That's right.
Amen.
We'll purpose. We'll just have a contest. Oh, I know, Pastor. We can put people in the pew if we have a bike giveaway. Can you imagine? Please hear me a minute. Can you imagine next Sunday if I would advertise? Let's make it the first Sunday of November. If I would advertise over the next 2 weeks, if you come to Faith Tabernacle on the first Sunday in November, we're giving away a new car. You all better be here Saturday night.
Amen.
Yes, it was.
Because you ain't going to get in here on Sunday.
Right.
But you know what?
After the curse.
Sunday night, even the winner ain't going to show up. Because they're going to be out driving their new car.
Amen.
That's right.
Sister Sadie said if she won, she'd be here. But y'all know what I'm saying. We worry about things. See, I want to get back to these 70 a minute. They weren't worried about the crowds or what Jesus was going to do. All they were locked in on is the responsibility and duty God gave them.
Right.
Man, if we would stop worrying even on our jobs about what somebody else is doing. I will say this. I always talk about my wife. I very seldom mention Brother Randy in anything, and if it is, it's usually about being bald-headed. Which is a pretty easy thing to comment. It doesn't bother me. But I will tell you this, that I have been blessed with having Brother Randy work with me, because over the years we have had a lot of new people in, and for anybody starting out in painting, they paint about 1/10 of what somebody else does. But I've never had one Brother Randy ever come to me at the end of the day and say, hey, Dan, this ain't fair. This guy over here only painted 2 rooms, and I painted a house and a half. He does his job. He doesn't worry about what the other person does. How many people, when they go to the job, are so worried, well, wait a minute now. They're not having to do what I'm having to do. Please follow me. I'm just not trying to talk to make you a better employee. I'm trying to make you a better child of God.
Amen.
Because what we do in the workforce, let me tell you folks, if you do that in everybody's doors. Because let me tell you, folks, just putting on a suit and a nice dress does not change who you are.
That's right. Amen.
Does not change how you look at things.
That's right. Amen.
If we are always worried about everybody out there, we walk in here and worry about everybody else in here. Well, they're not singing as loud as me.
Amen.
You know what? Sometimes that might not be a bad thing. So you don't want you all to laugh now. Because see, not everybody's got a good voice like me. Thank God. But we get so worried. You know, they just don't pray like I do, Pastor. You know what? My daddy told me something. When early on, when he just started serving God, my dad had a rough upbringing. My dad, many of you never got to meet the great man my father was. My daddy told me at the age of 5, he could out-cuss most sailors. He would actually go around his street and they would pay him a penny just to hear him cuss. My daddy grew up in a rough neighborhood, in a rough family. My daddy was playing boxing with his brother. Back then boxing was big. He was sparring with one of his brothers. And you would think, he's my brother, my kid brother, I'm going to take it easy on him. His brother broke his neck by giving him a right cross. Actually broke his neck. My dad grew up rough. Well, one of the first times he came to church, some of his friends went on a revival night. And I remember my dad saying that all he could hear was everybody laughing. He could hear his buddies making fun of him, crying before the Lord. You know what my dad did that night? The next night, he had a choice to make. He could worry about what everybody else was thinking. You know what my dad did? He hid behind the Bible stand because he said, I wasn't going to let them stop me from what I wanted. Yeah. I wasn't going to let them interfere from what I wanted. See, he wasn't going to worry about them laughing. I'm sure when he laughed, they were there to laugh. But he wasn't worried about it. He was in the house of God, and he said, I'll come to give whatever God wants.
That's right.
And folks, when we come in here, we spend the time to come in here. Why not give him everything instead of, please pay attention to me? Why come in here and waste our time if we're not going to give God everything?
That's right. Amen.
You know, I have one requirement. Whenever I've hired anybody, Brother Randy's been there, my wife's been there. I said, all I ask of you is one thing. Do your best.
That's right.
I'll train you. We'll teach you techniques. But do your best. When you show up, give me your 8 hours.
Yes, amen.
I'm not going to ask you to paint what Randy does or paint what I do, but I want you to give me your 8 hours.
Amen.
And God is telling his people, I want you to give me my 8 hours. If you want to show up and you want to get heaven's reward, then I want you to give me my due result.
That's
Give me
right.
what I earned.
That's right.
See, for me, this place is not a joke.
That's right. Not a joke. Amen.
This place for me, I grew up. My daddy taught me this place was something special, and the service of God was something. Not just walking in these doors, but the service to labor for God. My daddy taught me if I was going to play that guitar, I better play it the best I can.
That's right.
Because it wasn't for me. It wasn't for my friends. It wasn't to impress anybody. But it was to magnify God. If I'm going to sing, I'm going to give you my best voice. Even if it isn't good, if it's raspy or whatever, I'm going to give him my best. I've never come and stood behind here saying, God, let me mail one in.
Thank you, Lord.
And I will tell you, there's been nights I've not felt like coming into this place. My wife will tell you it was an effort for me to come. But God, through his mercy, when I stand behind here, I'm not going to leave anything in my office. I'm not going to leave anything at home. I'm going to leave it right here. Because I want God to know I appreciate his choosing me to use me to work for him.
Amen.
That's right.
Somewhere we got to realize, you know, too often I've seen parents and then they don't understand when the kids grow up dysfunctional.
That's right.
You know, I know a lot of kids that don't have a work ethic because they came from a home that doesn't have a work ethic.
That's right. Amen.
Amen? I'm telling you it's fact.
That's right. Preach it. That's right.
You know, when we walk in these doors, it should be understood this is God's house.
Right.
I'm working for God. You know, Brother Randy will tell you, usually every new employee, I'll give them a shirt. I'll give them one of my company shirts. And I will tell them, I say, now remember, when you put that shirt on, you go to a job site, you're representing me.
That's right. Amen. That's right.
I don't want you going over there acting stupid.
Amen.
Don't want you going over screaming and doing crazy stuff.
That's right.
Because when you walk on a job site, they look and say, you're an employee of Dan Purvis.
That's right.
And you must represent me as such.
That's right.
Is that wrong?
No.
Well, let me tell you, folks, when we walk here in these doors, we are representative of Jesus Christ.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes.
We are not here by accident,
That's
Amen.
right.
but we are here by divine calling of God.
Amen.
But I will tell you, we have an option. If we're going to give God our best, or if we're going to take from what God has to offer.
Yeah, that's right.
Please turn with me to Luke chapter 7 and verse 8. For I am also a man set under authority, having under me soldiers. And I say to one, go, and he goeth. And to another, come, and he cometh. And to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. Think about that a minute. And I want to take you to a man called Joseph. How many remember Potiphar's wife? Potiphar had placed Joseph in a great position of authority. Did he not? Potiphar's wife come along. Joseph must have been a handsome man. Very attractive man. Anyway, Potiphar's wife made a pass. And you know what I read out of Joseph's mouth? I do not read Joseph saying, we could get caught. Sister Dolores, if we get caught, I'm going to lose my life. Did he say that? No, he didn't. You know what he said, Sister Delinda? He told this woman, he said, and I paraphrased, but he said, don't you understand? Your husband trusted me, put me in responsibility. How can I dishonor your husband, my boss?
Right.
Had no fear of dying, there was no fear of being caught, no fear of what people might say, but what held him back was his regard for the honor he owed the man that pulled him out of prison, that bought him. Think about that. He was a slave, owned by somebody else, but yet he said, I owe my master respect.
That's right.
Think about that a minute. I would have each of us know we have a choice to be a child of God or not.
Yes, we
Yes.
do.
But I will tell you this. You know, Paul said, when he spoke to the centurion, the centurion said, I bought this price. It cost me a lot of money to become a Roman citizen. Paul said, I was freeborn. It cost somebody else, but it didn't cost me. Well, I will have you know, folks, I'm a freeborn servant of Christ. It didn't cost me a thing, but it cost somebody a lot.
That's right. Yes, it is.
Amen.
Amen.
And I cherish my liberty as a child of God because it cost Jesus Christ the throne room. It cost him his crown.
That's right.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
Please. Did it not?
That's right.
Yes, amen.
What do we owe him? Should we not, out of mere respect, give him our very best?
That's right.
Yes, amen.
Isn't that what the Bible said? When we do our very best, all we've done is our reasonable service.
That's right.
You know, and I want to end with this thought. You don't have to turn in your Bibles. But there was a man that had a great field. He hired many men. And it went on that through the day he started someone around 7 o'clock, hired some more around 11 o'clock, hired some more in mid-afternoon. Then he hired one man right at the end of the day. And they all had agreed, no problem, we'll work for a penny a day. But as they began to pay in reverse order, when the man that had only labored 1 hour got his penny, here they are sitting back, man, I'm going to get more than that. He paid him a penny, and I've been here all day long, man, I'm going to really make out. And when they came to them, they paid him a penny. He said, wait a minute! She's only worked an hour. I've been here 10 hours, and you're going to pay me the same as her? But you know what Jesus said? What did I offer you? Did I not offer you a penny a day?
Yes.
But Lord, I did this. They only did that. You know my business? Rolling is where I make my money.
Right.
Cut-in is not where I make a lot of money because cut-in takes a lot of time. Rolling is when we get a lot of work done. So if Brother Randy come up and say, hey, wait a minute, Brother Dan, I did all the rolling. Why are you paying me what the cut-in guy got? Well, am I paying you what I agreed to? See, sometimes we begin to get disgruntled with God. God, I deserve more. I know you offered me salvation. You offered me eternal life. But what about more? I want more.
Yes, that's right.
Did he not agree if we would give our life to him, he would give us life in return?
That's right.
Yes.
What more does he owe us? Please tell me. As a child of God, as we get ready to dismiss, what more does God owe us but heaven, if that's what we agreed with?
Amen.
Right.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
That's what we agreed on. And it doesn't matter what anybody else gets. We get so worried. You know, I hear in the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, every other athletic competition. Well, I got to be the highest paid person on the team. Let me tell you, folks, I don't have to be the highest paid person on the team. My wife's laughed many a time. She said, man, they could pay me $500,000, I'd sit on the bench. I don't care if I never made the game. You don't even have to give me a jersey. I'll stay in the locker room. But why are we worried about what it may be, what we may have to do? May have to get our hands a little dirty. I'm trying to talk to somebody tonight that you might realize what opportunity you have been given.
That's
And I
right.
want to end. I know I mentioned that, but I got to go to this one other verse. Brother Randy, if you'll pull up that last verse for me. Study to show thyself approved. Approved unto who? See, I've come to a point in my life, and maybe it's because I've got to a place in my life. I don't care what people think of me today.
Yep. Amen.
As long as I can put my head down on my bed, and when I go before God, God says, well done.
That's right.
Thank you, Lord.
That's what the writer said, isn't it? I'm not worried about if anybody walks out of here. Well, I didn't like it tonight. If God says you did a good job, then that's what matters. I'm not like, I don't want anybody to walk out of here and say, oh, I hate Brother Purse. I like everybody to like me. But I'm not willing to sell out for everybody to like me.
There you go. Amen. That's right.
Yes, amen.
A workman that needed not to be ashamed. I will tell you this, for 9 years, I worked under my brother as his business manager, running the city contracts for HUD and stuff. And for 9 years, my brother sent me to classes, and for 9 years I was in training to get where one day I could start my own company. If that opportunity would have came without that training, it would have failed. It took 9 years of experience, and I promise you, and I told my brother, I went back to my brother after I started on my own. My business started picking up. I went back to my brother one day and said, brother, I want you to know one thing. I owe you. I owe you.
Amen.
You trained me. You paid for my mistakes. I made a couple mistakes. I signed a couple contracts I shouldn't have signed at prices I shouldn't have signed them at. My brother, it wasn't me that he did it, my brother ate it. I gained, I'm trying to talk to somebody about, we're going to make mistakes, folks. But we got to make sure we grow from them. We learn from them and don't repeat them. And I promise you, those mistakes that cost my brother, I didn't repeat them because I owed my brother something.
Right.
The Bible said, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed. I want to know that if I make a mistake before God, that the next time when the same circumstance comes, I don't make the same mistake and cost God.
That's right.
Because I promise you, as workmen for God, we have all worked and lost money for God.
That's right. Amen.
Yes, amen.
We have all fallen short. That's scripture.
Yes.
But you know what? I made sure I learned. There's book learning and there is life experience learning.
That's right.
Well, let me tell you, folks, I've made mistakes as pastor over the 29 years that I've pastored. I am sure that along the way I've offended a couple of people. But I will tell you, I never ever took it lightly.
Amen.
I never ever dismissed it as being unimportant. Because I understood I'm in the business for one thing.
Amen.
That's winning souls for Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That is my sole purpose in life.
Right, amen.
It's not to have a painting company of 20 employees. It's not to own a fleet of trucks. But it's to win souls.
Amen.
My business affords me to be here, dedicated to the kingdom.
Amen.
My friends, I will tell you this. You've got a job. When you receive the gift of the Holy Ghost, when you claim to be saved, the day of training is over. Now you are an employee that's expected to bring a profit to the business.
Yes.
And
Amen.
I will tell you this, if you do not benefit the kingdom, God will soon discharge you.
Right.
Yes.
Amen. That's right.
See, I believe in that.
Yes.
I believe if you're no profit to the kingdom, if you're just a hindrance, God will remove that hindrance because His work is going forward.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
Doesn't matter who gets in the way. Because see, God cares so much about souls. He won't let nobody destroy a soul.
That's right.
We might not want to hurt people. God knows what's in the heart
Right.
of everyone sitting in it. He knows if we care about Him or not.
That's
If we're
right.
here as a joke, if we're here to play, or if we're here to visit. God knows that.
That's right.
Yes.
And
Amen.
I want God to know I'm here to worship.
That's right.
I'm here to magnify and lift Him up.
Amen.
And I am here to do this too.
That's right.
To gain strength and knowledge.
Uh-huh.
This precious word, I will tell you this. I've had over the last couple of weeks, a couple of comments. I've had people say, well, you know the Bible pretty good. Well, let me tell you this, and I don't mean this to sound arrogant or bragging. Take it how you want. But let me tell you, whatever knowledge I do have, it didn't come from reading one verse a month.
That's right. Amen.
It came from reading the Bible.
Yes.
Pretty much every year we go through the Bible almost twice a year. Genesis to Revelations, every year. At least 1.5 times. You want the Bible Don't try it at the first of the time.
That's
You're
right.
never going to get to it.
Nope.
You got to be dedicated. You got to be willing and hungry. There are times my wife will tell you, I don't feel like reading. My body don't feel like reading. We read anyway. Why? Because we must, if we're going to be equipped to do anything.
That's right.
How many want to do something?
That's right. Amen.
Then it's time to get the manual out. What thus saith the Word?
Yes.
Amen. That's right.
That's your only hope. Please stand. Please stand. May we bow our heads. Father, thank you for your many blessings. Thank